We often think of PPC as spending money, paying per click, literally. But a better framing for our industry is about the value we create through PPC, the value we create for our businesses, the value we create for our clients, the value we create for consumers, and the value we create for our careers. Welcome to PPC Zone November 2022. I'm your host, Jill Saskin-Gales, and I created this event to elevate new perspectives and insights in our industry. For those who are new to PPC Zone, here's how it works. Everyone is invited to apply to speak at ppc.zone, our website. Each month, I select 3 speakers to each share their expertise in 7-minute presentations. Then, we get together for a live panel to answer questions from our live audience on YouTube and LinkedIn. For those who missed the event, you can watch the video recording on YouTube, listen to the audio recording on the PPC Zone podcast, or read the transcript on our website. Again, the links to apply, watch, and catch up are all at ppc.zone. Our first speaker in the zone is a digital marketing consultant with nearly 11 years of experience. She has worked in-house and in agencies, employee and freelancing, corporate and startups, covering broad areas such as content, brand, PR, SEO, CRM, affiliates, and more. Now, she's here to share her perspective on the added value of PPC. Please welcome Veronica Ruiz.
Hello, thank you, Jill, and hello, everyone. I'm really happy to be here and talk about one of my favorite topics, that is using PPC for something else. My name is Veronica Ruiz. I'm a digital marketing consultant, and I help brands make the most of their digital marketing strategies. So PPC is an amazing tool to bring traffic, to bring sales, to bring leads, but there is so much more that we can bring to the table, because PPC is not only an amazing acquisition channel, it's also a very powerful data gathering tool that can make other teams in the business fly. So basically, with PPC, we can have a lot of data that can help us to increase those sales, increase those leads, but also it can help us to help the SEO team to improve their headlines, or to help the content team to create new blog posts, or it can help the pricing team with their pricing selling points. So today I'm going to be talking about this, and I'm going to be sharing some quick ideas of how we can bring that extra value by using this powerful data gathering tool. So I'm going to start from the top level, okay? So PPC offer us a very quick entry to the market. We can use PPC to validate the market, to test new audiences, to test new services. And there is a very specific scenario where PPC is your quick win. And this is, I'm pretty sure we all have been there. When you have a client that comes to you and has a very poor or no digital presence at all. It's in this scenario where PPC is the quickest way to join the digital landscape. We can create a PPC campaign and compete against our major competitors within hours, but also we can start collecting very valuable data in a very quickly way that is going to help us to define our marketing strategy. And one of my favorite tools to do this, and my favorite strategy to do this, is by using DSA campaigns. With a DSA campaign, we can quickly push our digital presence out there, and we can also cover temporarily the SEO gap. We all know that SEO can take a while to do its magic. DSA campaigns allows us to cover those gaps, cover actually the whole website within hours instead of months, while we collect very valuable data. So hopefully within just a few weeks, we have high quality data to, on one hand, define more specific and profitable PPC campaigns, and on the other hand, to bring amazing data to the SEO team. And this is called for SEO, because instead of them having to start from scratch with very generic data about volumes and about difficulties, they can also use this very specific converting data from more targeted audience. Another asset that can bring a lot of value to the business is our ad content. The first tip I'm going to give here is a tip that we all know, but we keep forgetting about it. So I'm going to keep repeating it. PPC can help SEO a lot with on-page optimization. Our ad copy offers very good learnings about CTRs, about what encourages clicks. And SEO can and should use this data to add marketing messages to their title tags, to their meta descriptions, so they can improve their click-through rate. So basically, we will have SEO doing this amazing keyword research, ensuring that we are organically ranking in the top page. And then with this marketing message, they can ensure that they are bringing the clicks. And this ultimately will also help SEO rankings. Another useful thing that we can do with our ad copy is to get insights about the relevant USPs for our target audience, for our target consumers. And this is gold for the product team. By testing our ad copy, we can test which selling points resonate the most with our consumers. Is it same-day delivery? Is it the cheapest price? Is it quality? Is it specific aspects, colors? All of this data can be given to the product team so they can keep improving on the product or the service. And the last asset I want to talk about that also gives brilliant insight to the business is audiences. Google Ads give us a very clear picture of who is our consumer, who is our customer. And we can use this data to create our own personas and to find more users with a very similar profile. And one of my favorite tips here is audience observation within Google Ads. So in Google Ads, we can select those in market segments, those affinity segments that are relevant to us, and basically observe them. So we can get the conversion data and all of the data from these segments. This is the magic of observation mode. We don't need to narrow the reach. We can just observe how these segments perform and then use all of these insights to create other audiences for other platforms or other channels. So for instance, our paid social manager can use these insights to create custom audiences and lookalike audiences within Facebook ads. Also, our affiliate managers and partnership managers can really benefit from this data, because by using all of those interest, age, location, devices, they can go into their affiliate network and see which websites, blogs, social media profiles are targeting that audience, so they can recruit them. So for instance, imagine that a student has a very good conversion rate within your campaigns. So your affiliate manager can go into the affiliate network and look for all of those websites that are targeting students, like student beans, and ensure that or product or offer or service is in a relevant placement within that website. And to finish, why should we bother? Why should we try to bring this extra value on top of our sales and leads? So basically, as a PPC, we have access to high valuable data, and this can bring the cherry on top. So this means that if you're working in-house, this will help you to optimize all of your resources and become a key player of the business. And if you are in an agency, This will give that extra value that will allow you to become the strategic partner of your client. And these were my 7 minutes for PPC Zone.
Thank you, Veronica, for sharing your unique perspective and insights with us in the zone. If you'd like to connect with Veronica, you can find her on Twitter at VeroRumor or on LinkedIn. And if you have a question for Veronica, go ahead and type it into the chat if you're watching this live on YouTube or LinkedIn right now, because we'll be getting to your questions during our upcoming live panel. Next up in the zone, this speaker is the co-founder of Bellavix, a full-service marketplace marketing agency for direct-to-consumer retail brands who want to aggressively grow sales on the world's largest marketplaces like Amazon and Walmart. Today, he's going to share his unique perspective with us on how to prepare your Amazon and Walmart PPC for a more profitable Q4. Please welcome Will Hare.
Hey, Jill. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here talking to the PPC Zone crew. So prepping your Amazon Walmart account for the holidays and strategies for your most profitable holiday. We know Q4 is around the corner, Turkey 5, Black Friday, Cyber Monday. For a lot of brands, it's time to cash out. So proper and smart investing in your PPC strategies and in your listings will pay off during this season. A little bit about me. As mentioned, founder and CEO of Bellavix. 10 plus years working in e-commerce, specifically in advertising. And I have experience with Seller Central, Vendor Central, Amazon advertising platform, and DSP, demand side platform. And as mentioned before, we manage marketplaces. Here are some of the brands that we've had the opportunity to work with. And now that's enough about us. So let's chat about some statistics. I like to kick these things off with little stats so everybody kind of has some perspective on what we're talking about in terms of how big are marketplaces? What does Amazon and Walmart represent for people shopping online? So 63% of consumers start their product search on Amazon. So they're actually going to go to Amazon and going to search in widget, garlic press, whatever they're going to search, and they're going to start looking at these brands. And this is where a lot of product discovery happens now. 88% of consumers who last shopped at Amazon started their next purchase journey on Amazon. And 66% of consumers shop at Amazon because they can find everything that they need on the site. So Amazon and Walmart specifically represent about 50% of US e-commerce. And then obviously this is something to consider as you're prepping and understanding where should I invest my limited resources I have that's going to give me the biggest bang for my buck during this holiday season. So let's talk about preparation. So to kick it off, before we can even talk about advertising, you need products. We have to have inventory. No inventory means no sales, and it has an adverse effect to your bestseller ranking or your BSR. So a couple things to consider as you're prepping for your Q4 before we get into advertising. Make sure that your inventory projections for November, you're projecting to cover November, December, and January, so that if you do hit sales really well, you're not going to miss out on opportunities because you just don't have inventory. Consider a third-party logistics inventory solution for if you're having issues with Amazon's warehouse restrictions. Be prepared for long lead times around inventory. Expect Amazon and Walmart to lose some of your products as they get checked in. Be sure to open cases and get paid for those products that they lose. Don't expect customer support to be very supportive. It's Q4. Amazon and Walmart are both very busy, and they're not known for great customer service. So be prepared to take matters into your own hands necessary. And then be prepared for a higher storage fee. We know as of October, Walmart has waived it, but Amazon has their fees increased for storage and fulfillment. And then the last piece of this, so now we're talking about operations. We got inventory flowing in. The other piece to get ready before we can talk about advertising, because advertising relies on operations. Operations doesn't necessarily rely on advertising. Holidays can be hectic. You need to make sure that your listing's on point. Your title should be clear and concise. Keep in mind that mobile viewing is 70 characters. That's why you find a lot of best practices using capitalization for those first call outs inside the listings, and you can see it here. The bullets, life-size cutout specifics, all capital letters, and then a little details about the product. But you want to make sure that the bullets have key features and benefits. Description or A+ content is updated to incorporate holiday themes. You also want to add in some keywords about if it is a giftable item, that it should gift for him, gift for her. And then be mindful, if you sell plungers, that may be a great gift for a mother-in-law. That's not a great gift for a wife or anybody else. So, stay true to the benefits of what the product is. And if it is giftable, tap into it. And then maximize images and video usage. Now let's talk about advertising. So if you haven't, you should be advertising. Amazon and Walmart, they're a pay-to-play platform. And to break it down real simple, we have sponsored product ads. And these are the ads that show up in search. And this is that first section right here. And so this is your typical, if I search garlic press, and the first 2 search results that show up are going to be advertisements. And this is an example of a sponsored product ad. The second ad type that we should be taking advantage is sponsored brand ads. Sponsored brand includes, at the top, you see we have a logo or image that we could put in, 50 characters of text, and then we could feature 3 products. And sponsored brand also has sponsored brand video, which shows up kind of in the middle of the page, first page, and gives us the ability to showcase some unique features in a video format for customers as they shop on Amazon to get an idea, is this product really right for me? And then last but not least is the sponsored display ads. These show up on product detail pages and on and off of Amazon. This gives us the ability to build audiences around key shopping moments like Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and also building audiences. So right here, we kind of have a full spectrum of getting people in search, in market, and then working our way up from consideration to discovery. And these ad types and leveraging them all smartly will give us the ability to kind of have a full funnel marketing and advertising experience. Another tip, leverage portfolios. So this was a new release from Amazon, maybe like 2020, 2021. And it gives us the ability to put campaigns inside a portfolio, and then we could put limits on the portfolio. In this case, we could set budgets. So traditionally, when we run accounts, we have evergreen campaigns that kind of run all the time. We do routine maintenance to make sure that bids are optimized, we're being efficient according to KPIs, and everything else that comes with maintaining a healthy account. What could throw things for a loop is that if you're constantly throwing in new keywords and throttling bids up and down. So Amazon came up with portfolio management as a way for us to kind of control our spending. So as holidays come up, for example, this is a great opportunity for us to segment. We want to get juice for holidays. We want to make sure that the audiences are being built and we're willing to sacrifice advertising cost of sale, tacos, ROAS, whatever your KPI is, in order to build these pools. So portfolios give us a great way to kind of control the ebbs and flows of our budget to make sure that we're maximizing for events or workups or whatever's going on inside the accounts. And then last but not least, I have a list of strategies that or tips that I'm just going to kind of bullet out here. But ensure your product's retail ready. You have great images, as I mentioned, your title, your bullets, your A+ content's all there. And you should have some reviews. Reviews happen natural from sales. Promote products with discounts. It's Q4. Most people are looking for holidays, specifically around Black Friday and Cyber Monday. So a lot of people will add stuff to their cart. They'll be exposed to advertisements as they're prepping for Black Friday, Cyber Monday, where they're going to add these and kind of wait. A lot of times, if you don't have some type of promotion going on, you're not going to get that purchase. So even if it's a small discount, some discount will incentivize customers to actually make the purchase and move on. Update your list of targeted keywords. Obviously, working up to these events, you want to include broader themes, bigger audiences to kind of tap into, and then kick on those retargeting campaigns as you get close to that event. Monitor campaigns and performance. You want to make sure you're within whatever KPI that the brand or the owner has set. You want to increase bids and monitor budgets to ensure you aren't running out of budgets for the end of the day. This is like beginner mistake is like it's always in the beginning of the day, everybody's ads kicks on, so cost per click tends to be the most expensive. But by noon, by 1, depending on what the market is, a lot of those advertisers will hit their caps and it'll drop off. And then through the end of the day, you'll see lower cost per clicks. And then we have data that suggests that, after 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you see more volume in purchases for items that are under $100. So that's an example of, if you're losing budget and your cost per clicks are killing you, then you're not going to have the opportunity to serve your ads and get these customers and create brand ambassadors for the great products that we know you're all selling. Boost exposure by maximizing your budgets from November 30th to December 22nd. So just the holiday period, and just make sure you're monitoring it. And then tips for holidays: if you aren't using portfolios, reduce your bids on low quality keywords, pause poor performing keywords, remove ineffective sponsored brand ads, and of course, leverage portfolios to make cleanup a lot easier. And then last but not least, expect the unexpected. While you can have all these pieces in place, you still need to be flexible. You never know what's going to happen in terms of logistics, and being able to pivot on and off of strategies will definitely help in the long run. So that's a bit for me. If you need to reach out, there's my information. And thanks so much for having me and listening.
Thank you, Will, for sharing your unique perspective and insights with us in the Zone. If you'd like to connect with Will, you can find him on LinkedIn, Will Hare. And if you have a question for Will, be sure to type it into the chat if you're watching this live on YouTube or LinkedIn, as we will get to your questions during our upcoming live panel. Our final speaker in the Zone this month has over 12 years of paid search experience. She hosts the PPC Chat Roundup podcast and also started PPC Live, a PPC event in London, UK. She has a passion for diversity and especially for building a platform for women to get ahead in the industry. We're about to hear her unique perspective on why being part of a community is important for your PPC career. Please welcome Anu Adegbola. Anu, you're on mute.
Of course, I started off on mute. Apologies for that. And so I'll start again. Thank you for having me here. So welcome to everyone who's joining us in this fantastic community. Community is something that I think that has really burst at the seams since, our big C few years, like the COVID years that we've had, coronavirus, that has really stopped us from doing a lot of things. Earlier on with the fantastic other speakers, we were talking about traveling and about how we're happy to travel again. But something that it forced us to do is to look at social media differently, to look at our online platforms differently. And for me, I was determined to not just be the one that scrolls through Instagram, scrolls through Facebook. I wanted to find like-minded people that would still help me through these. First of all, we thought it was going to be months, but it became years of, we're stuck at home. I'm very much an extrovert. I feed off, my energy is that I feed off people around me who are there to support me, to want to see me grow, who are cheerleading me. And I found those people online. I found those people, especially my marketing people, online. So I'm going to share some tips. Well, not some tips, why. I'm going to share why that has been important for me, why I feel actually, despite, COVID seeming to stop the world, bring the world to a bit of a standstill, I actually feel that my career has progressed the most over the past couple of years, mainly because of the community. To start off with, I'm going to talk a bit about my experience, how it has evolved. I'm then going to go into a little bit about these, some like a few things that I feel that being part of a community has really changed and really has been helped, evolve and bring to light what the positive parts of being in this industry, and then give you some next steps on how you can then as well make the most of your community, and a few communities I think you should be a part of. So my journey starts off in about 2009. And I've gone from agencies and in the UK, so like companies like Stake Digital, companies like 360i, companies like OMG, and I went through like several of them, Stake Digital and that kind of stuff, several of them. And then I moved in-house. I worked for a property company And then I went to like working into a B2B, a large B2B company, and they were like my favorite to work with. I would have stayed with them for more than the 2.5 years. Like the managers you work with is really the key in terms of actually, I feel, staying in a company. If you have a good team, if you have a good manager, people stick around a lot longer, because every company will have its issues. No company is perfect. It was started up by a human being. Human beings are imperfect, so there'll be some issues. But as long as you have a manager who trusts you, or you work well together, you stay there longer. But yeah, they were moving to a different part of the UK. They closed their London office, so I needed to move on somewhere else. And that's where the idea of because at that stage I'd been working in the industry for close to 10 years. So I was like, let me try my hand at freelancing. And I went into freelancing. And I think even freelancing especially was where really I thought to myself, who are my teammates? As I've said at the beginning, I'm very much an extrovert. I feed off the energy of other people. We are not working, even though our working hours are from 9 to 5:30. We are not working every minute of that day. There, we do coffee runs. We do, chat with someone in the hallway. You have a question about something. Instead of writing an email, you turn around in your chair, you tap someone over the shoulder. That is what makes up the day. That's what makes you have an enjoyable work day. That's the case for me anyway. So freelancing really opened my eyes to how do I still recreate that, having a team, working with people. And so I dabbled into a little bit of going online, but it really didn't really hit until COVID hit in like 2019. So now taking you now onto that journey of really not having a community in the first 7-8 years of my life, because I relied on the people around me. I'm now going to go into why I felt being part of your community has been very important. For the sake of time, I'm going to give the 4-5 tips that I've got, but I've got 10 really, and it's going to come out in a thread, not too long, but I'm going to share about 5 of them here with you. Now, having done paid search for all my career, Google Ads, we are very much at the whim of Google Ads and their updates and how they evolve. And this year alone, there have been 26 updates. There have been features that have been, deprecated. There have been announcements of things that's going to start next year. There's just been loads of changes. And sometimes it can be hard to keep on top of all of them and actually know which ones apply to you. And being able to have the community around with you that allows you to say that you hear from different experts from all over the world telling you that, hey, this update, it's not the end of the world. We've actually been able to get on it quickly. It's actually working well for our accounts. Kind of gives you a little bit of a peace of mind that, it's okay to move with the change, or actually to know that maybe it's something that you don't need to necessarily worry about your accounts. So being part of that community really opens your eyes to that. There's also a lot of misinformation in our industries. Best practice, when people talk about best practice, you should always take those practices with a pinch of salt. And I think it's very important to have a group of people where loads of different people will be giving their ideas, and for you to make up your mind about what is going to work and what's not going to work. It's also great to put faces to a name. So when you go to in-person events, it's really great to have that. And yeah, there's also a challenge about our current, it's also a way to help to challenge your current perspective of paid media. If you're sitting working from home like I do a lot, it's really important for you to actually talk to other people about how paid search is evolving, what's working, what's not working. And it's also a good way to network. From the beginning, networking has always been important for our career. It's allowed me to have amazing teammates, not just for my podcast, but also for PPC Live UK. And those are the main 5 tips I'm going to give you for now. I really highly recommend now next steps for you to join a community. Twitter, for as long as we're going to be on it, has a great community on there. Go make sure you tweet on PPC chat. We're always talking about the latest information. Ask a question and you'll have many people that's going to join you to give you an answer for things. go to an event, come to PPC Live UK. If you're in UK, if you're in London especially, I'd love to have you there. It's a mixture of freelancers, recruiters, people in agencies, people from brand that just transparently share their ideas about what they're doing and what's working best. So yeah, my definitely advice for next steps for you is join a community. Join, whether it's on Slack, there's one I'm part of, there's paidsearch.org, whether it's on Slack, whether it's on Twitter, whether it's on LinkedIn, whether it's on any of your different platforms, even on Facebook, find a community to join. It could be where you find your next teammate, your next manager, your next role, your next co-board member to come up with a fantastic, brilliant idea. That's all the ways I've used a community, and I'm sure it can be the same, if not more, for you. Thank you very much, Jill, and that's the end of my talk.
Thank you, Anu, for sharing your unique perspective and insights with us in the zone. If you'd like to connect with Anu, you can find her on Twitter @themarketinganu. And if you have a question for Anu, go ahead and type it into the chat if you're watching this live on YouTube or LinkedIn right now, as we are about to get started with our live panel. Let's bring all of our speakers back on screen now. This is PPC Zone November 2022, and we're talking about creating value in PPC. I'm your host, Jill Saskin-Gales, and I created this event to elevate new perspectives and insights in our industry. I'm here with Veronica Ruiz, a digital marketing consultant who just spoke about the added value of PPC. I'm here with Will Hare, co-founder of Bellavix, who just spoke about how to prepare your Amazon and Walmart PPC for a more profitable Q4. And I'm here with Anu Adegbola, paid search account director at Marin Software and founder of PPC Live UK, who just spoke about why being part of a community is important for your PPC career. Thank you again, everyone, for sharing your perspectives with us today. So to dive in first, Anu, we just heard from you earlier about building community, and you mentioned there's participating community and creating community. So how do you know when it's time to go from being a participant in a community to starting to create your own community, as you have with Women in PPC or PPC Live UK? How do you make that transition?
That's a great question, Jill. Because for the first years of being hit with working from home on a long-term basis, I was just enjoying the process of being part of communities and having a lot of admiration of community managers. Like, seriously, the people who really just keep those communications going and making sure that they're coming up with new initiatives that just keeps the community like feeling like they're learning something and they're getting something out of it. But my idea was birthed from a point of view of there was something I wanted that was missing. So it might come to a surprise to some people that even though I'm paid search through and through, and I've been that for the past 10, 12 years, I love hanging out with SEO people. Love hanging out with SEO people. I've done the Brighton SEO, which is this fantastic event that's run by this guy called Kelvin Newman. And I go there, I've made some fantastic friends. And then I've done not just that, and some different SEO meetups, and I've made some really great friends. They are my advisors, like my really good friends. We've hung out, had good food and drinks, and partied in my house. Like, I've made lifelong friends from these communities. And I went to several SEO events after paid search, after the lockdown ended, and I was like, where are the PPC events where we have so much to say? Like, after when you go online, we have our weekly chats on PPC chat. And I was like, where are the PPC meetups? And, there's an event that happened, HeroConf, that has a quite high high ticket price. And I was like, there's a barrier here. And so to really answer your question, how do you know? When you know. I think, especially, when you see a gap, thankfully communities, it's not like, we're not creating the wheel again. There's fantastic people who have done several aspects of it. But once you're like, actually, I saw there was SEO meetups, there were SEO events, but I'm a PPC person. And I was like, I want where's the PPC there? So it's something like, if you see something, if you're already part of something, and you're like, okay, these guys are tackling an aspect of this, but there's another aspect of this that is not being tackled. That's where it's going to be born off. So it's going to be like, necessity is the mother of invention, that kind of thing. It's like, if you see a gap, and a gap that keeps you up at night, and a gap that will not leave your mind. Sure, there's so many issues and there's so many gaps, but the gap that makes you go every day, makes you wake up and goes, I'm really looking for that. I'm really looking for that. I'm really looking for that. That's how it's your job to possibly do something about it. So yeah, it's about finding the gap, and and seeing the thing that really puts a fire in your belly about it, because no one will tell you to be motivated or not motivated about it. You will get it done.
And actually, I will say, when you first announced PPC Live UK, that's what inspired me to create this event. I thought that's such a great idea. But what about for the rest of us who aren't in London? And so that's why I created PPC.zone, to create a global event to elevate different perspectives in our industry. So thank you for being the inspiration behind why we're here today.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
And so next, Will, you spoke earlier, sharing tons of great tactical tips for people who want to grow their PPC on Amazon, Walmart, or the other marketplaces in Q4. And so I'd love to hear from you, what kind of format or tactic should someone who's just starting out focus on? Someone who maybe has a smaller budget, not as much experience. What's kind of the entry-level PPC tactic for Amazon or other marketplaces?
You got it. I would say, first of all, let's talk about a KPI that is very Amazon, Walmart driven, but ACOS, your advertising cost of sale. And I would say, if you're brand new to advertising and you have a small budget on marketplaces and you're like, hey, how do I do this? Pick that number that's profitable, that's going to help. So at least you have a baseline that you're manipulating bids against, and you're judging your performance against. Outside of that, talking real basic, you would want to launch automatic campaigns. Automatic campaigns, Amazon essentially scrapes your Amazon and Walmart. They scrape your product listings and they say, we think you'll sell for this, and they'll show your ad. And this is how you discover how people search. That's how you get user intent and understand what leads to a purchase. It's also how the algorithm is trained. So Amazon, especially for a new product, I've heard it labeled 100 different ways, but it's the honeymoon period. So Amazon, when they don't know your product and they don't know your brand, they're going to be a little looser with where they show your product based on the information you put on the listing page on the back end, which may be in or out of your control depending on your organization. So it's important that you launch these campaigns, you let them run, and then do some basic keyword research. There's some great tools out there. We use Helium 10, for example. There's something called the reverse ASIN lookup, and it allows us to see what keywords specific products are indexing for, and then we could kind of look at those keywords, extrapolate relevancy, and then put those into list. I don't recommend having a gigantic list of keywords because you will just run out of budget really fast. Pick 10 to 25 keywords inside a campaign that can be really focused, and use those to kind of drive discovery. And then after 4 to 6 weeks of just keyword harvesting, looking at the automatic campaigns, taking products that work well, or keywords and searches and audience that work well, drop them into your manual campaigns and start building it out. And that process alone is basic PPC maintenance, and it's kind of how you get started. And then for bid adjustments and everything else, know your ACOS, your guide, and what you're willing to spend to be present when somebody's searching for very relevant search terms.
And it's interesting, you mentioned getting started with these automated campaigns. It sounds very similar to a recommendation from Veronica's talk, where she talked about getting started in new markets with dynamic search ads on Google Ads, which works very similarly, letting the system kind of figure out which searches you should show up on based on the information you give the system. And so, Veronica, going back to your talk earlier, you spoke about how PPC can create value for a lot of different marketing functions. So, in your experience, is it easy for the PPC practitioner to develop a good relationship with kind of the SEO practitioner or the paid social practitioner, or do you find some tension there? How do you develop those cross-functional marketing relationships when you're working either in an agency or in-house?
So I think it depends a lot on where you're working. If you are in an in-house scenario, then normally have found that there is a very collaborative environment there. So you will be working in the same team. You all know what's going on in the business. You all know the main goal of the business, and you are working together through that goal. If you are in an agency, and even worse, if it's just a PPC agency and you are working with a company who has outsourced SEO or has an SEO in house, then that becomes very difficult. And that is the scenario where it's the problematic one, and it's where you have to work very hard to ensure that you are creating bridges with the business, with the client, and if they have outsourced the SEO or the affiliate marketing, the email marketing, try to create bridges with those third parties to ensure that are all aligned. And I think that is a big task for agencies to ensure that they become the strategic partner of the client, not just a satellite there that does some PPC, but they are part of the strategic, and they are bringing all of that value that can help all of the other parties. So in-house, very easy. Agency, quite complicated.
Understandably, different incentives and communication and teams and all that kind of stuff. So, question for all of you now. We're in the big Q4 period. So, especially for e-commerce, it's the most wonderful time of year or the most terrible time of year. And though we have experience in different platforms here, what these platforms have in common is they are always changing. So, is there a new feature or capability or tactic that you are currently testing or looking forward to testing in Q4, whether it's Google Ads, Amazon Ads, or something else? Maybe I'll start with Will. Will, is there anything new in kind of the Amazon PPC world that you're testing or looking forward to testing this quarter?
Yep, we currently have a client on board for OTT video ads, which will be featured on Prime and Prime eligible Kindle and all those Amazon type products. This is our first test with something more mainstream media where it's like impression share. We are a performance driven marketing agency, so a lot of our KPIs are dollars and bills, got to make them sales. So this is new territory for us. And so we're excited to kind of test it out. What does it look like? And more importantly, like a lot of our conversations, like the halo effect. What does mass appeal do to the brand? Are we going to see more new to brand customers? And what other KPIs are going to change that are going to help grow the brands? We may not be able to tie direct ROAS to this video placement, for example, but what are some of the other KPIs that we could tie that like kind of build that big picture of what we're working on and long-term growth? So I'm personally really excited to test out some of those new features.
Yeah, that sounds great to test. And what about you, Veronica? Is there anything new you're testing this quarter?
I mean, to be honest, I think the biggest test we're running at the moment is all based on how we're going to use PMax for this quarter, because it has just come in and has a lot of potential. And as you said, this is the biggest quarter of the year for a lot of businesses. So how we're going to capitalize all of the potential of PMax is going to be the biggest one.
Yes, Google Ads Performance Max, I'd wager to say, is maybe the biggest change that's happened for Google Ads this year among the 26 changes, Anu, I believe you said, that we've had during your talk. So what about you, Anu? What are you looking forward to testing for the first time this Q4?
Well, with my clients, I work for Marine Software. That's my like my day job. And what we're doing with clients really at this time, it's the forecasting and the actual working with some of the Google features that we know are working with our clients. So like smart bidding is not all bad news. We'd hate to say. I wish I could say it was all bad news, but
Quote her on that.
Right? So it's not all bad news there. So what we are in a new phase of how we work alongside it. for our clients, how we actually make sure overall our clients' budgets are actually being spent efficiently, whether it's through smart bidding or whether it's through our marine bidding strategies, that we are working hard to make sure that it works alongside of it. Smart bidding, yes, it can work for some things, but it doesn't work for everything. There's still, I'm sure, something has been said a lot in our community, is the fact that Google is not really great with the small volumes. It's not really great with maybe B2Bs and the long tail and the specific kind of things. So those gaps, as I said, that's how you decide to create a new community. It's finding a gap of what the community wants, what the industry wants. And so yeah, we're noticing those gaps and we are coming up with our solutions for them. So it's going to be very new in terms of just working alongside the different bid strategies that our clients are still eager to use, because it works, but we know that there's some areas that there are gaps, and we know we can work alongside to make sure that the whole budget works, not just a certain percentage.
Spoken like a true Brit. Mind the gap.
Mind the gap, yes.
And so my last question for our panel today, I know at least 3 of us here are very active on Twitter and specifically in the PPC chat community. And of course, the big news in the tech world, the ad world, in the world over the last week has been all the craziness going on at Twitter, people leaving the company as employees, people leaving the company as advertisers, and people leaving the company as users. So what is or are the other platforms that you're, if any, that you're investigating and kind of moving your PPC conversation to? We'll start with Anu.
Well, I've always been active on LinkedIn as well. I'd actually argue to say that what's they call crack the algorithm code of LinkedIn, and it's one of those things where the longer you've been using a platform, the easier you know what to work with it. I do have about 10K followers. It's not a flex. I'm just literally saying I only have 3 on Twitter. I've got 10 on LinkedIn. So I'm like, hey, you guys panicking about Twitter? I'll just continue with my LinkedIn growth strategy. I know what I'm doing over there, kind of thing. And it's interesting. There are different ways that we can have conversations online. I also have, I'm part of a few Slack communities that we're still gonna keep going on and having fantastic conversations on there. And one thing I do love about Slack, some people are like, Slack doesn't work, but it's really great for that some communities, shout out to my 2 favorite, women in tech SEO, as well as what's the other ones, Superpath are 2 fantastic communities. The other communities I'm part of, but in terms of growth and how much the community managers really have got it figured out how to really grow that community. Those are my 2 favorite that I feel any woman or anyone should join if they're interested in content. So those are my main areas. And if you want to find me on LinkedIn, I'd be happy to have you there as well.
Yes, we've also been investigating LinkedIn. I actually started on Twitter to diversify away from TikTok, where I have my main presence, because my TikTok account got suspended for 1 day last year, and it was terrifying. And thankfully I got it back. But that's what drove me to kind of get involved on Twitter and LinkedIn, and I'm so glad I did. And similarly for me, Slack communities are great. My favorite is the Today in Digital Marketing Slack community, which anyone can join. How about Veronica? Are you sticking with Twitter, testing other platforms? How are you finding your community?
So I think one of my favorite as well is Slack. I'm finding you can find so many amazing communities out there that allows this very kind of personal communication that I wasn't able to find in Twitter, actually, that I'm loving it. So I have a few Slack groups that I'm there. Some of them are very local. So I'm part of one called Brighton Dev. So there's a lot of people from Brighton. So, you can have meetups in the city. That is beautiful. And then more global ones. So I think Slack, for me, is the perfect replacement for Twitter.
Got it. And last but not least, Will, I don't believe you're a tweeter. Where do you find community in our industry?
Yeah, I have a Twitter account, but to be honest with you, I just syndicate anything I put on Facebook. It just kind of vomited up there. So when Elon Musk took it over and chaos ensued, I was like, hopefully my post will still post, and if somebody likes it, yes. But that's not always the case. I'm active on LinkedIn. That's where I put a lot of time. I am considering like YouTube, figuring out how to syndicate content a little better. And then Slack community, sounds like a lot of us are Slack nerds. Online Genius, if you guys are ever in the Amazon channel, I will probably answer your question. That is my favorite community, and I'm always looking for more communities. So heard you guys mention a couple. I'm gonna have to write those down after the show and maybe make an appearance.
Yeah,
Definitely. Well, our time today is almost up. Thank you once again, Veronica, Will, and Anu for joining us today. Our next event will be on December 13th with the theme, Let's Get Technical. And we actually still have one speaker slot open. So if you'd like to share your unique perspective with the global PPC community, apply now at our website, ppc.zone. To learn more about PPC Zone and our speakers, or apply to speak at any upcoming event, visit ppc.zone. I'm your host, Jill Saskin-Gales. You can find me on Twitter at Jill Saskin-Gales. I look forward to seeing you next time in the zone.